Alright, how's everyone doing? So, is the p.o.b, or point of balance, on a sword that important? So, saw a couple of videos where people were like, is it really that important? You know, because like with a Japanese sword, you know, some people say because you do all the cutting up here, which is true. European swords is the same way though. You do the cutting up here. And I've always said that. You cut here, parry here, block here. Okay? Because it's the thickest part of the blade. So one person said, oh, I want my point of balance up to the front. Well, no you don't. And there's a reason why you don't. Okay? The reason why the point of balance on your sword is so important, it's not for it to be able to cut really well. Because yeah, katanas are designed where they're front heavy. And that's all in the design of the blade. But the reason why the point of balance is so important is for control of the blade. Okay? Believe it or not, the handle and the tsuba play a big part in the balancing of your sword. So, unlike, let's look at this guy. Okay. This guy right here. This sword weighs 3 pounds. Okay? And you feel it. And it's a thick blade. The problem is, you really feel it wanting to pull down on you, especially one-handed. And that's due to this handle being way too short. Okay? So it throws the point of balance more towards the front. Now people go, oh, that's a great, you know, because it's going to assist in the cut. Yes and no. Okay? If you have, like with this thing, the point of balance is more to the front, when you want to stop this thing where you want it to stop, it's going to take you more effort. Okay? So if you want to do trick cuts with it, you can, but you're going to have to put more effort into your movements to get it to come back. That's the problem. So if you have a sword that's more balanced, like this one right here, this is a Seaway from Bohayu. And this is it's not a thick blade, but it's a hefty blade. Okay? And you can feel the frontness of it. But if I put both my hands on here, okay, that heaviness goes away. Okay? With the Honshu, that heaviness doesn't go away with both hands on it. With this one, it does. And the point of balance on this sword is just a little bit over 5.5. Okay? I like it a little bit farther down, 4.5. But still with it at 5.5, I can control this thing. I can bring it back quick if I need to. And that's what you want in a sword. You want that maneuverability. You can't have that if your point of balance is all the way to the front of the blade. That doesn't work. It's going to take you too long to bring it back. Whether you're doing trick cuts or you're dueling, it takes way too long. So if you're taking like any form, like the item moves very, very slow. But if you want to move into where you're starting to duel and you're using a sword, let's say it's more like this, extremely front heavy, you're going to find out that you can't do a recover as fast as if you had a sword that's more balanced. Now, the Shadow Dragon, I love this thing. This thing is beautiful. It's a beautiful sword. I can really feel the frontness of this thing. Okay? Can I control it? One-handed. Yes, I can. Now, I can kind of feel my hand when I whip it back this way. this handle really wants to move in my hand, and that's due to that frontness, little too much frontness. And I think if this handle was about 11 inches, that heaviness up here wouldn't be so bad. It's not horrible, don't get me wrong. This sword is very well made, but if they put an 11-inch handle on here, your controlness of this blade would be twice as good. Okay, it's good right now, but it'd be even better. Okay, so excuse me. Yes, the p.o.b. of your sword is very important to have. Okay, and you want it back here, and it's for the purposes of controlling it. Like you should be able to. Like if you exercise a cut, because I'm a firm believer, yeah, Iaido, you move slow. It's for mental, mind, and body. But if you want to speed it up to see how well you can perform and keep that edge alignment going, you're going to find out if your pointing balance is too far this way, it's not going to stop where you want it to. It's going to feel like it wants to keep traveling. And if your blade feels like it wants to keep traveling, that p.o.b. is too far forward, and you want it back here more. Okay, you're never going to get it close into the handle. Okay, with Wagasashis you will, because it's such a shorter blade. You know, I have actually one Wagasashi where the pointing balance is literally just in front of the Hobaki. Okay, and that's due because it, like I said, it's a shorter blade. It's not as long. Okay. But like I said, this sword is nice. 11-inch handle, this thing would be, I'm pretty sure I said this in a previous video, this thing would be perfect. Absolutely perfect if it had 11-inch handle on it. Hanban, that's why I like Hanban so much. All their handles are 11-inch. So, if you haven't tried a sword with 11-inch handle with a 20-inch, 28-inch blade, try one. You're going to notice a big difference in the performance of it. Now, obviously, I'm not showing Unikubis or my Kugurasu. Those are totally different because material has been removed from it to make it lighter. So obviously it's going to be quicker. So this is why I'm just doing Shinogi Zakuris, okay? Because Shinogis are normally a lot, Shinogi Zakuris are normally a lot heavier because there's more material on them. Also, like this guy right here, I remember the other two swords besides the Honshu, I don't remember the weight of them. This is my newest one, too, from Sawadi. This thing weighs 2.8 pounds. This is a heavy sword, okay? That's because it's got a beefy blade on it. It's a wide blade. But I can maneuver this thing one-handed with a breeze. It is so comfortable to use, too. This is just shy. This handle is just shy of 11 inches by an eighth, okay? An eighth inch from being 11-inch handle. World of difference. Because the Tsuba, believe it or not, the Tsuba actually plays a big part in your balance of your sword. In fact, one of the people said they changed their Tsuba out and it made it horrible, the balance of it. Yes, and it will. Depends, though. Okay, it does depend on the type of Tsuba you're putting on there. It could improve the sword, too. The best thing that you can try if you want to change your Tsuba out and keep that balance that you want, get one that's the same diameter and weight. Okay? And try that. And if it seems horrible, then go with a smaller diameter or a little bit bigger. Normally the Tsubas don't get too much bigger, and see how it performs. Okay? So yeah, the Tsuba and the handle play a big part in the balancing of your sword. Now, point of balance on this also 5.5. But you notice I can just wield that like I was doing prior with no problem. And this is 2.8 pounds. So yeah, this is not a light sword to use. Sawadi, when it comes to this style of swords that they do, they're beefy. Now we look at this thing. Okay. I really don't even want to try and move this fast, because me just doing this like that, I can feel it straining my wrist. Whereas that Sawadi didn't even do that. Okay, because all the weight or all the balance is going to the front. Okay. That makes it difficult, and it also puts a strain on your wrist when you're trying to wield it. Now granted, this is a 3-pound sword, but it is not very responsive, because this handle, and you got this little curvature here, kind of, I don't know, it feels weird. It feels very, very weird. Because it seems like this hinders it, your movement for your backhand. On top of it, you have too much, or actually not enough material for the guard. It's almost non-existent. This handle, this is a 30-inch blade on this honshu. This handle should have been 11 to 11.5 inches long. That would have eliminated some of that front heaviness that this thing's got. It's got a lot of heaviness in the front. And you can have blades that are as thick as this, but not have an extreme frontness to it, if you put the right handle on it. So, would this be good for trick cuts? No. You could, but it would be an effort to do. Unlike those other 3 swords, I've done trick cuts with them like crazy. So, European swords, same thing. Everyone sees those. Yeah, the guards come out a lot wider to protect your hand, but that also adds to the balance of the sword. Same with the handle. All that works for your pointy balance. And what you want is a good p.o.b. where you know you can come back quick with that blade. I've said this before. Sword making, when it first developed, was a feat of ingenuity. Still is today. So, if you have someone who knows what they're doing, you get produced a nice sword. Like this Bohayu, my Sea Wave. This thing's awesome. It's an awesome sword to use. Totally can control it. The Shadow Dancer. You can control it. It's nice. It's well made. Although this only has a, 10.5 inch handle on it, it's still, you can control it. The Sawadi, which is, I always say these things are, the moment you pick it up, you can feel weight on these things. You can control it. Especially if you want to control it one-handed. That's important too. You've got to be able to control your sword one-handed without straining your wrist. Okay? Now, funny thing is, all these swords all have the same p.o.b. About 5.5 inches. Including this one. Okay? But, like I said, the handle and the Tsuba play a part in that balance. So if you don't make it correctly, everything's going to go to the front. And you don't want everything going to the front of your sword. Makes it too difficult to control. I mean, me just holding this with this, it just automatically wants to pull down. like I said before, I've said this before, they almost had a good thing with this, and they just dropped the ball. I mean, this sword will give you a workout. For sure. My Nodachi that Tone Deaf sent me. When you get into swords like that that have a longer blade, yes, the p.o.b. is going to be farther forward. That, when I measured it, it is 6.5 inches. But that's a 35.5-inch blade. Okay? But I can do doubles with it. I can do a double with it. In fact, Tone Deaf said he was surprised I was able to do it because it's a beefy blade. Okay. So yes, if you have a longer blade, the p.o.b. is going to be out farther. That's just how it is. It's going to be. You can't. It can't be farther to the more inward to the handle with a blade that long. But like I said, even European swords, those guards, those handles, they're all part of it that creates that point of balance of your sword. And if it feels like when you're cutting, the sword just wants to keep going on you, and you have to kind of a little bit more to get it to come back, it's because that p.o.b. is too far forward. Like I said, you don't want a sword like that. You want a sword that responds quickly. I've said this in prior videos. You control the sword. The sword doesn't control you. And if your p.o.b. is too far forward, it's going to be controlling you. And it's not going to be very responsive to you that you want. You want a sword that's responsive to you. That's why for trick cuts, unakubis, motoharas, or if you want to call it a kugurasu, are so great for that because they're so responsive because they take that material off. But they still have a front heaviness too. Okay, it's just not as much as a shinogi is. So hopefully this video was informative for everybody, and you understand now why some of us go, well, the p.o.b. is a little, it's okay. And how, even if you have 4 swords and the p.o.b. is the same, why one will be really sucky and the other ones are doing good? Well, has to do also with the back end of the sword where you hold it. Handle too short, not the proper guard. All this plays a factor into a good, responsive sword. If it's not there, it's not going to be very responsive to you, like you want it to. Because you should be able to do a snap cut and come back and do another cut. Otherwise, if you can't do that, it's, like I said, if you move from, like, let's say, Iaido and you want to do dueling and use that same sword that's not sharp, that's the important thing, you're going to find out, you're going to be wondering why people can get hits on you. Well, it's because maybe, and you know what you're doing, it could be because your sword is not responding to you like it should. Because that p.o.b. it's too much forward. So, as it's travel here, it's taking longer to come back here instead of going like you should. Especially one-handed, because there are one-handed strikes in Iaido. So, when you draw, you want to be able to stop when you want it to stop. Not go, and it keeps wanting to travel. That just doesn't work. So, again, hopefully you guys found this informative, learned something new, how the p.o.b. on a sword works, and why it's actually so important. So, see y'all later. We'll catch you on the next one.